You're listening to the Mental Tide podcast with Dean Vassallo. Great day, people. Welcome to the Mental Tide podcast, where we talk all things mindfulness, coaching, personal growth, and everything in between. So, first things first, hit that bell icon. Make sure you get notifications as to when the next episode is being launched. This is episode 5 of the Mental Tide. So, this is really cool. This topic that I'm going to touch on today is something that I've been delving quite heavily into myself, and with my now coach Travis, the technician. And this is shadow work. Now, what is shadow work? For those who don't know, let me give you a bit of an explanation. I've managed to find a bit of a explanation, just to give you some context, and then we'll delve into a couple of topics on it. So shadow work is I'm just reading this off the paper. Shadow work is a concept rooted in psychology, particularly in Jungian, so Carl Jung, psychology. And it refers to the process of exploring and integrating the hidden or unconscious aspects of one's personality. This can have profound impacts on an individual's personal growth, relationships, and overall well-being. So, in a nutshell, what it's telling you is to turn the mirror inside and have a look inside there and deal with what you've got inside. Have a look at what's hidden behind the corners, and have a look at what's hiding behind some of the things and some of the feelings internally, to get benefits out of it, to benefit your growth and benefit your relationships. So that's a real sort of layman's term explanation as to what shadow work is. But what we'll do is, I've got a couple of points here that I've written down, and we'll talk on real quick in regards to shadow work. So when you're understanding your shadow self, let's call it that, you want to sort of understand, and just before I go on any further, the shadow work aspect of things is something that you should be doing with a coach or a mentor, somebody who knows how to help you guide through your shadow work, and somebody who can help you navigate the right questions and ask the right questions and answer the right questions without it being detrimental to you. So just have that in the back of your mind when you're looking at shadow stuff. And if you do come across situations where you want to pursue shadow work, send me a message, reach out to me. I can if I can't help you, then I can definitely pass you on to somebody who can. So understanding shadow. So again, the shadow self. The shadow self comprises the aspects of yourself, what you represent or deny, because they're either deemed to be like unacceptable or painful, or even just cast away. So you want to understand what that shadow is first, because that shadow can manifest in many, many different ways, like thought. So how you think about things, your dreams, how you project onto other people, and even behavior. So once you understand that shadow in yourself and what it is that you're ducking and dodging and weaving away from, that's going to impact you on all these different aspects and all these different levels. So the first thing is you want to understand what that shadow is, right? And then you want to understand the wholeness, I guess, of the shadow, and how complex it is, and how many levels there are. Or if you look at it from the Shrek onions perspective, how many different layers of onions are there? How many different skins are there? So you want to, once you understand how complex it is, you want to embrace that complexity, right? And then it's acknowledging, I guess, both sides of that complexity. So the positive and the negative of that complexity, because it's in there for a reason. So by understanding and acknowledging that it's in there for a reason, for a positive and negative benefit, it's then how you process that and make it more authentic, and then integrate it into being beneficial for you and not on the detrimental side. So once you understand that complexity, you can then work with it rather than against it. The impact of shadow work on personal growth serves as a very severe catalyst by challenging you, right? To confront and work through your inner conflicts. Now, everybody's got the stuff inside. Everybody's got the shit that they run from, and everyone's got the stuff that they just don't want to face because that looks too scary, and I'm not going down that corridor because I know what's at the end and I don't like it. That is shadow work. That is being at one and understanding enough to go, yeah, I need to deal with that because it's detrimental to me right now and it's impacting everything that I do. So once you have that understanding, like I've already spoken about, once you understand that shadow and once you deal with the complexity of it, by grabbing it and working with it, your personal growth is going to go through the roof, right? So when you face in and integrate that shadow, you can increase your self-awareness, you can increase your emotional intelligence, you can have a stronger sense of purpose, you can have much more of an understanding as to who you are as a person. But by not turning into it is going to then inflate all of those levels of yourself in a negative way. Understanding the shadow element of yourself will then improve your emotional resistance as well. So I guess by like, it's like exercise, right? So the more you do something, the better you get at it, right? So by facing that uncomfortable truth and I guess your capacity to handle those emotions or situations will build more emotional resilience for yourself. It will make you stronger emotionally, and your EI, your emotional intelligence, will then up from doing that, right? So once you have that distinction between that emotional resilience and that mental well-being, you'll then see how much that shadow work and how much that shadow self contributes emotionally to you, to your growth, and like to your emotional maturity as a person. It's insane. Like, it's to understand how impactful a bunch of questions or a session of shadow work can be to yourself is friggin' huge. And on that, it'll improve your relationships. Like high level of shadow work over time, over like a consistent amount of time, it will make you so aware of not just yours, but other people's emotional triggers and projections. And once you understand that, it will help you navigate your relationships greater with people. And you'll have more empathy, you'll have more understanding, you'll be able to jump into people's shoes more often because you would have faced into that and you'd be more aware of those triggers. So it'll help you with your communication in your relationships. It'll help you reduce your conflict. And I know, because it's happened with me, is you just feel more fulfilled connections with others when you actually deal with your own shit and face into your own shit. It's insane to know how impactful this work can be to not just one little morsel of yourself. It's fully encompassing. It's all relative. It's all circular, and everything relates back to working on your internal self. I guess with shadow work as well, it helps you understand your creativity as a person, right? So you can unlock a lot of untapped creative potential when you look inside and you look at why you do things the way you do things. So like people who have a heightened creativity and innovation have worked with and engaged with their shadow selves. So they've faced into themselves and gone, right, I know why I am the way I am, and I'm okay with it. I've worked with it and I've dealt with it. Therefore, it allows them to be freer in their expressive nature, in their communication, in their creativity. It's allowing them to be a lot more flowy and open to different things. They're not as restricted and regimented in, oh, this is how I'm going to do this and this is how I'm going to do that because this is what I know, because that's all I've known, because I've not worked on myself and I've not done the internal stuff. So if you're looking to unblock creatively, and if you find yourself coming up consistently against creative blocks, doing some shadow work will absolutely help that. Doing work on self, shadow self, it'll also help you with how you deal with challenges and resistance in the future. So when you understand that shadow work can help you explore obstacles that you might encounter or you might have encountered, when you come face to face with those and you understand what those are and you actually pursue different strategies to work through them, your levels of patience and self-compassion will just blow through the roof. Like, when you face into those things that you've been running away from, and when you face into the fact that, I always struggle with resistance, or I always struggle with challenges that are put in front of me because maybe as a child you weren't taught how to deal with them properly. So when you just go into your shell and don't deal with it properly, your patience and self-compassion takes a hit, because you then start going into like a self-loathing and like a woe is me feel, because it's like, well, I've never learnt properly how to deal with that, therefore I am now just shying away from it. So when you work on that, and when you go, right, now I know how to deal with challenges, I know how to deal with resistance, I know how to deal with setbacks, I'm going to face it and move forward, everything goes up. Everything stemming from that will go up. So a couple of really cool ways, I'm just going to start tying this episode off now, a couple of really cool ways to practice shadow work, or some tips, I guess, if you want, is journaling. Journaling will help you, and I say this with my clients that I work with now, journaling will help clear so much space in your head, even if it's the first thing you do in the morning or the last thing you do at night, or you can do it throughout the day, it doesn't matter. But just getting things out of your head and writing them down will help you understand things so much more. So, for example, I said to one of my clients, I was like, he started, the first week that we started together, his journaling was singular words, and, they were really rough, coarse words, really demoralizing statements and words, and he just wrote them on a page. And we've been working together now for about 10 weeks, and his journaling now is fluid words and sentences that make sense and that are positive versus the negative. And why I bring that up is because sometimes we can't express, based on our emotion, a proper sentence. We just want to go fuck and shit and blah, blah, blah and all this sort of stuff. So write it out. If that's how you feel, write it out. And let whatever comes from that come from that. So you'll find that if you start week 1 journaling by just writing words, write it in a circle, I don't care, like just write them individual words, write sentences. As long as it gets out of your head and gets onto that page, that's the outcome that we're looking for, right? By doing that, then reflecting on that. So, and I've done this with my client, I said, reflect on from where you started to where you are now from that journal. By doing that daily, practicing that daily, look at how far you've come. And you'll find that when you do that as well, by making space, and what I'm saying by making space is getting all that negative internal monologue, bad, detrimental shit out of your head and putting it onto a page, opens up the opportunity for better things and great things to come into your mind and into your consciousness, because you've got rid of all the shit that you're constantly thinking about that isn't serving you. So when you do that and when you reflect and go, man, look at where I was to where I am now, that's just going to project you up further. And partnered with that, journaling with some sort of self-reflection meditation will be fantastic, just to sit in yourself for 5-10 minutes on a morning and just reflect internally. And then also, like I said earlier in the episode, is therapy or reaching out to a coach or a mentor to work through your shadow stuff. All great things, all really cool tips and advice on if you're looking to or want to work with your shadow and start to clear up some space and work through your shit. And that is a real brief summary of shadow work. Now, again, if you do want to pursue it, I dare say that you should be reaching out to people who know what they're doing and don't flex in on this stuff if you don't know what you're doing. It could be detrimental to yourself. So make sure you seek the right help if you do need so. But yeah, thanks so much for listening to the Mental Tide podcast, episode 5 on shadow work. It's been a ride. We'll chat soon. Peace.